Minneapolis Police Chief Madera Arredondo today testified that former Officer Derek Chauvin violated department policy when he knelt on George Floyd's neck for about 9 minutes during an arrest last May. He testified the force Chauvin used was not in line with training or protocol.
Once Mr. Floyd had stopped resisting, and certainly once he was in distress and trying to verbalize that should have stopped.
Arredondo went on to say physical force may have been justified in the first few seconds of Floyd's encounter with police, but not later, especially when he became motionless. The chief was the third high-ranking police officer to testify that Chauvin's actions were not reasonable.
A police trainer testified this morning that Derek Chauvin used unauthorized force in restraining George Floyd. Prosecutor Steve Slisher displayed a photo of Chauvin kneeling on Floyd's neck and asked Lieutenant Johnny Mercil whether Chauvin was using an approved use of force.
Say, for example, the subject was under control and handcuffed. Would this be authorized?
I would say no.
Mercil testified that officers had been allowed to use neck restraints, but only if a person is actively resisting arrest. After Floyd's killing, the Minneapolis Police Department banned neck restraints as part of an agreement with the state.
In Derek Chauvin's murder trial today, a physician testified George Floyd died from a lack of oxygen because the former Minneapolis police officer knelt on his neck. As Matt Sepik reports, the doctor refuted defense arguments. Floyd died of drug use and health problems.
Prosecutors questioned Dr. Martin Tobin, a Chicago pulmonologist who volunteered his time for the state. Tobin told jurors that Floyd could not get enough air into his lungs because he was handcuffed face down and Chauvin was putting pressure on his neck and back for an extended period.
A healthy person subjected to what Mr. Floyd was subjected to would have died.
An autopsy found fentanyl in Floyd's blood, but Tobin said Floyd's respiratory rate was normal until he stopped breathing, indicating that the drug did not have the impact that the defense claims.
Hennepin County Medical Examiner Dr. Andrew Baker gave long-awaited testimony in the trial of Derek Chauvin today. From Floyd's autopsy, Baker determined the force applied to Floyd was too great for him to bear given his heart disease.
It was the stress of that interaction that tipped him over the edge given his underlying heart disease and his toxicological status.
Baker ruled Floyd's death a homicide. He attributed the cause of death to cardiopulmonary arrest as Chauvin's knee was on the man's neck, but he also believed Floyd's recent drug use and heart condition contributed to his death.